Okay, first we're going to talk about behavior overview. His name is Theodore Smith. He struggles with keeping his body to himself. He has shoved, strangled, grabbed other kids. He's kicked things and had shown inappropriate hand gestures. He struggles with appropriate speech and kind of a positive mindset. He said to students and teachers, "You suck," or "keep failing," or to himself, "I can't do it." He can be destructive. He has injured and killed a frog at recess and tried to topple over a bookcase. And then he also struggles with work completion and maintaining motivation. Some solutions for school: make sure that things are consistent. They are making sure that Theo is sitting near the teacher or the front of the room, and they're also doing a one-to-one adult supervision during recess and lunch. For home solutions, the parents have agreed to complete any unfinished work from the day at home and follow through on that. They also are going to take away a privilege if his work's not done, or if his behavior plan, which we'll go over in a little bit, is not followed. Or they can give prizes for being successful. And then just like the teacher being able to communicate with them, they also need to communicate with the teacher. Communicate with the teacher daily, enforce work completion, and respect, and then give prizes or take away privileges based on the decisions the student makes. All right, the FBA. First, the FBA had a description of the behavior. So he disrupts lessons by calling out and responding rudely to adults and peers, by refusing to do what he is asked to do. It usually occurs in Miss Peters' classroom or the specials classrooms. It occurred daily at the beginning of the year, but only occurs now when unexpected changes happen. So if I were to guess, maybe once a week. The student disrupts all the students in the room and deters the lesson. Usually lasts about 5 to 10 minutes. Some previous interventions are meetings with parents. I know he's been suspended, in school suspension, at least one other time. The teacher likes to talk to students one-on-one in the hallway, and then also talks with the principal have been tried. And then the educational impact is that he's disrupting his teacher, his peers, and when he's not completing assignments, then that is hurting him. All right, this is the part of the form that I really liked. It's called Specify a Hypothesized Function for each area. And so the first thing that I checked was the affective regulation emotional reactivity. He's clearly dealing with anxiety when the behavior occurs, and that's when the behavior kind of comes out. Cognitive distortion is another thing I checked. The student speaks to himself and others negatively, like I mentioned before. Some reinforcements are that, so the antecedent is that there's an unexpected change in the plans or the routine. The consequence of that is that the student responds to everyone really rudely, calling out, acting out in aggression. And then next, I marked physiological and constitutional, just identifying personal characteristics. Notice that he had a short fuse and he just really struggles to be flexible, again, with that anxiety. And then this is the part I really liked about this form, is that there's a communication need. So it says identify what the student is trying to say through the problem behavior. And I think that's a really important thing to note, because there's always a reason for every behavior. So I said that the student is communicating that he's experiencing anxiety and disorientation. So my behavioral intervention plan is that the student will use safe words, safe hands, and complete all of his assignments for each subject area. That is his expected outcome. Some interventions for that: the resource teacher and Miss Peter, they are both responsible for checking in with the student at the start of each day. So he will check in with the resource teacher in the morning. She's going to go over some lessons or role-playing situations with changing routines or something that is unexpected that might happen, and how to kind of deal with that anxiety. He will be given his point sheet, and then he's responsible for bringing that to his homeroom teacher. Then Mrs. Peter is responsible for filling out the behavior check-in, check-out form to monitor the following behaviors: safe words, safe hands, work completion. Then Mrs. Peter and his parents are responsible for figuring out if he earned 3 out of 3 check marks in a subject area. Then he gets a jelly bean and or prizes at home. And then his resource teacher at the end of the day is in charge of checking him out. So they'll talk about what went well that day. And if he gets full points for Monday through Thursday, then he'll get to pick a prize from her prize box on Friday. And then lastly, the parents are responsible for following up with that work that's not completed at home, taking a privilege away, or giving a prize. And then just talking through those things at home. And then this is the behavioral check-in, check-out sheet that I came up with. So for each subject, morning check-in, centers, math, writing, snack recess, science and social studies, lunch, second recess, foundations, and specials. Each of those have those 3 outcomes. Lastly, the cultural impact. Parents kind of talked about how they felt like being a parent and being more in charge of things at home, like toys, made them have a little bit more leverage as a parent, because they can take away something that he cares about more. The second thing is that his father used to be in the military, similar in that way. They hold really high expectations for both of those places, and they were very appreciative of Mrs. Peter because she's a very firm teacher who, sets boundaries, and so they express their appreciation for that. They also shared their perspective on the role and value of a teacher. They feel that teachers are experts, and they put a lot of trust into the school system. And there was some history of anxiety in the family. His mother has anxiety, so I know that they've got a perspective on anxiety and mental health. So that's something that's important to mention, because some families don't go about that the same way. Here are my references, and that is it.